Salve, Skipuli. All right, thus begins our big experiment. What I have here is exercise B from lesson 46. Hopefully you got most of the way through this in class today. And rather than go over it in class, I'm going to make it part of your homework assignment just to watch me go over it and give you an opportunity to see how well you did on this. So here we go. Whenever you get stuck or confused, just pause it, get caught up, rewind if you need to. Here we go. We start number one with credamus, a present subjunctive. Okay, kind of in its own clause. So this has got to be hortatory. So let us believe. And then credo just happens to lead to a dative in newly. Let us believe no one. Credo just takes a dative. Let us believe no one. For, here's our nominative. No one is, fidelis is nominative as well. So no one is faithful, nobis, to us. So, let us believe no one, for no one is faithful to us. All right, number two. Let's start with our main verb, gerent. We have another main verb, timent. And finally, we have a third main verb, capiantur. Usually that means we have three clauses. Can I divide the clauses for us? Yes, I can. How about right there? How about right there? All right, so do we have any accusatives? Let's look for those as well. Yes, we have bellum, which is accusative. We have aedificia, which is accusative. We have frumenta sua, which is accusative. All right, whoops, I lied. Sorry, haven't done this before. Let's try that again. We actually end up with frumenta sua as a nominative. It's neuter, so it looks like it could be neuter, nominative or accusative. It's going to be nominative. We have will I as a nominative. And then aedificia omnia, again, is neuter, so it could be nominative or accusative. It's going to end up being nominative here. All right, so what do we end up with? We end up with they will not wage war because they fear. Here comes a new fearing clause. We have nay in the fearing clause. We're just going to translate that. Because they fear that their own grain and their villas and all their buildings might be captured. They will not wage war because they fear that their own grain and villas and all their buildings might be captured. So remember, timent introduces a fearing clause. The nay, it's reversed in the fearing clause. We don't say that not, we just say that. All right, good job. Number three, main verb, ambulemus, audiamus. All right, what's going to make number three challenging is we also have a participle. Ooh, very exciting. Where is that participle? Habentem. It's accusative case. Remember, with these participles, we want to figure out what they modify. All right? The accusative it's going to modify is illum notum consulem. So usually, if we then bracket that off or use parentheses, I know, if we use parentheses to mark that off and understand it as one phrase, things are going to work out well. So what do we end up with? We end up with two clauses separated at the ut. So let us walk to the forum so that we might hear that famous council holding a speech. What does that mean, holding a speech? That's an idiomatic expression that just means giving a speech. So, let us walk to the forum so that we might hear that famous council giving a speech. All right, number four. Excellent. Illa animal, or let's start with verbs. Be disciplined. Erant, vedamus. All right, two verbs, two clauses. Where does the clause break? Right before the qua, because qua is a relative pronoun. All right, we're going to start with this as a nominative. And it's going to be linked through this linking verb to this nominative adjective. All right? So we end up with those animals were very different, right? Similima, very different, both in appearance and in size of body. This, specie and magnitudina, are ablatives of respect. Very different with respect to appearance and size of body. Those animals were very different, both in appearance and in size of body, to those animals which we saw, all right, which we saw, see how that's accusative? Which we saw a little later. Number 5. Let's speed up here. Est is your verb. Det is your second verb. Sumus is your third verb. Factori is a future active participle in the nominative case. All right? Nemo is a nominative. Kimum and Wenum are accusative. Quid is going to be accusative. Here comes the translation. No one is, in other words, no one exists who might give food or wine to us. What, therefore, are we about to do? Or you could say, what, therefore, will we do? All right. Let's try number 6. Our main verb, postulabunt. Then we got an ut. I'm looking for a subjunctive. There it is. Second main verb, tradunt, is a present subjunctive. So I know with this ut plus a subjunctive, we either have a purpose clause or indirect command, something like that. All right, so they will demand, sounds like an indirect command coming. They will demand from the conquered enemies. Perfect passive participle right here, modifying the enemies. They will demand from the conquered enemies, or the enemies having been conquered, that all the weapons, whoops, I messed up. They will demand that they hand over all the weapons to them. Once again, they will demand from the conquered enemies that they hand over all the weapons to them. All right, number 7. Main verb dekebat. Infinitive essa. Ooh. Dekebat. Is that a head verb? Essa, infinitive. Maybe an indirect statement. Superare is an infinitive split between 2 lines. That's okay. I can handle that. All right. If we had an accusative subject, I might think there's an indirect statement here. We do have an indirect statement, but we technically don't have a for true accusative subject. But here's how this works. He was saying that it was very difficult to surpass this boy Corsu in a race. He was saying that it was very difficult to surpass this boy in a race. All right, number 8. Fortuna is going to be a nominative. That's going to be a main verb. And that's about all there is to this one. This is going to be pretty easy. Det is the subjunctive. Do dare, first conjugation. That E tells me it's present subjunctive. So this is going to be a hortatory subjunctive because it's in a clause by itself. Let fortune give happy result to this battle. All right, let fortune give a happy result to this battle. Number 9. We're almost done here, gentlemen. We have our main verb of rogabunt. Then we have an ut. This sounds to me like it might be an indirect command. Then we also have gerund down here. So those are our 3 main verbs. Means we have 3 clauses. I'm going to go ahead and divide them for us here. All right. And I'll take you through this one kind of quickly. Our nominative, we need to pay attention to that. Right there. Those are all nominatives. This is a nominative, this is a nominative. All right. Bellum down here is going to be an accusative. Contra nos is going to be a prepositional phrase. So what do we end up with? We end up with the Senate and the Roman people will ask us to be friends and allies. Okay, or you could say we'll ask that we be. That's fine too. Will ask us to be friends and allies, or will they wage war against us? And only now do I recognize that there's a nay here saying it's a yes-no question. So let's try that again. The Senate and the Roman, or will the Senate and the Roman people ask us to be friends and allies, or will they wage war against us? Kind of hope they ask to be our friends and allies. Number 10. Our main verb is going to be visi sunt. Our next main verb is going to be timwit. That's a verb of fearing. Then we have incapiscent as another main verb. That looks all subjunctive-y. Then we have fugera, which is an infinitive. I'm excited about this one. I'm seeing a subjunctive. I'm seeing a verb of fearing. Pretty interesting. All right. In the third watch, fires were seen in the camp of the enemy. That's hostium. That's third declension genitive. All right. Our commander, therefore, feared that they had begun to flee. There you go. What's the explanation for that, by the way? When they see fires in the camp of the enemy, why does the commander think that they had begun to flee? You tell me that tomorrow. Walete, Discipuli.